This hour of the Alan Autry Show is sponsored by Sinlaw, the most realistic artificial grass in the Central Valley.
From NFL quarterback to Hollywood to the mayor's office, and now behind the mic at KXEX, this is the Alan Autry Show. No retreat.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
What the hell's going on out here? Everybody grabbing out there. Nobody. That the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
So, 5 seconds left in the game. You believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable. We are led.
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX.
And welcome to Alan Autry No Retreat on Big Wednesday, and I hope you're ready to surf for an hour with us. And I tell you, I am so excited every Wednesday because most of those Wednesdays I get to sit next to my good friend Larry Powell.
Hey, glad to be with you, Alan.
Welcome, Larry, of
Thank you.
Powell to the People fame. And you want to touch your next show because you had Liz on there, and it's
Liz Garvin, who's the vice president of advancement at Fresno Pacific University. She'll be with me Sunday at 6, Saturday at 4, and also on Spotify, Facebook, YouTube, you name it, you got it. Listen at your convenience.
And Larry, to your immediate right, here
Our good
geographically and politically, Mr. Guillermo Moreno. Welcome, Guillermo.
Always a pleasure.
Well, I'd like to start. Well, I have to start this off show with an apology because yesterday I ridiculed or Monday, I believe it was Monday. I ridiculed your idea about how to get rid of bribery. You know, with you came up with, have a fund that's up when an official gets bribed, you report it.
Genius idea.
Well, I called it dumb. And first of all, I want to apologize for that because I was trying to be funny. And anytime I attempt that, I fall flat on my face. So it was not, but I was thinking about it. I was walking the other day. And that has more merit than you would think.
See, I'm telling you, I got the idea when I was running.
Yeah. Did you really?
Yeah.
Honest to goodness.
Honest to goodness, yeah.
Well, I got it after I was running. I didn't get it while I was sitting.
Maybe we should do this show while we're running.
Were
you running for office or running?
You know the
I was
best
thinking about Hunter Biden.
You know the best political ad I have ever seen. You remember a local politician here, folks around the country probably don't know it, but Michael Aaron Woody. Remember Michael Aaron? You don't remember Michael?
No.
Larry, you remember Michael Aaron Woody? Long flowing, hair. That who's the guy that had the big hair back in the day that everybody wanted to? He had one name. Anyway, you look like that.
Tiny
guy.
Tim.
No, I didn't look like Tiny Tim. But a long flowing hair, good looking, really great guy. But he had run for office and then he got beat, I think, and sat out a term. He was going to run for city council. He had this ad where you see him. He's just out running in the park. Just him, hair flowing and nothing. Just running. You're watching it because he's captive. Nothing. Camera comes in closer and closer. Then he looks at the camera, smiles, and down below a graphic says, "He's running."
I like it.
It was fabulous.
Cool.
I like
He's running. That's what Newsom needs to do. Just Newsom running out.
His hair won't move.
That's
so
true.
Slick and
That'd be
jelly.
the only difference. But he's running.
Yeah.
He says he won't run against Biden, but you notice he said he would not take the nomination if it was given to him, which could very well happen at the Democratic convention if Joe Biden makes it that far. And I'm not trying to be funny when I say that. Literally, the decline is precipitous. If you've seen him lately, do you think number one? We'll get to Newsom here.
Man,
number one,
so much
how does he make it? Even if you put him in the basement, how do you make it through even a smidgen of a grueling campaign when you're in the condition that he's in? And it's not about his age. There's a lot of 80-year-olds. I mean, Trump's 77.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you look at Rupert Murdoch, 93 years old, but still sharp as a tack.
I'd love to see a debate between McConnell and Biden because they'd both freeze.
Oh, my gosh, Larry! Now you're starting to stop.
Man,
We're close
we're rubbing
behind.
off
Larry.
on you way too much. You're supposed to bring us.
Sean Hannity. I'm tired of Sean Hannity too. How many times I like Sean? Sean.
I don't.
Got a ton.
Challenge
of
challenge you to a freeze off.
Sean Hannity. I don't.
Well, no, Sean. I like Sean. In fact, I got to meet him briefly. He came out to San Joaquin Valley, Guillermo. Larry, and you remember because he embraced our water issue. He thought it was unfair we didn't get our allotment of water.
Yeah.
What it was doing to our food supply.
and supplying food for
Brought
America.
his show out there. So he forever will have a place in my heart. Appreciate it. But this whole thing about he keeps using the same joke over and over. Like this. He couldn't get a job as a Walmart greeter. Sean, that insults every old guy that's there as a Walmart greeter. As if there's the end of the line, man. You got one foot as a Walmart greeter, the other one in the grave. If you go work for Walmart greeter, I mean, does he know how he's insulting all older people by saying that? And by the way, you're not as sharp, Sean, bless your heart. You're not as sharp at your opening monologue as you used to. You're 61. You're going to blink your eye and you're going to be 75. And those jokes aren't going to seem so funny.
I'm not as smart as my students. I have to think before I speak.
Well, and as Thomas Sowell said, it doesn't matter how smart you are if you don't stop and think.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's stop and think a little bit about this. We're going to get to the Republican debate. I want to handicap and get you guys' thoughts about that. And there, you put a picture in there. And
That's that Woody guy that was running.
That's Michael Larry with me. There he
is.
is.
He's a good-looking guy. Look at that hair.
His hair was even more long.
Yeah,
almost as good as mine. Almost.
Yeah, I'll think of that guy's name that was known for his hair. He did all the commercials. Gosh dang, I know some of them.
Oh,
listeners.
yeah.
You know what.
I do know who you're talking
But
about.
first, before we get to the
blonde locks.
Yes, flowing.
He wasn't American, right?
Yeah.
He was. I'm thinking of the wrong guy.
But we will get to handicapping the debate tonight. The Republicans, I think there's 7 of them that made the cut. They got the news. It's some kind of convoluted formula. You have to have poll numbers, certain amount of money raised. I
so
don't
many
know.
percentage support.
All I know is Larry Elder in there, and that disappoints me. It really
Don't
does.
get me started on Larry Elder.
Larry livens things up.
Larry doesn't do the work.
Oh, gosh. I'm
Larry,
going to tell Larry on you.
You tell Larry that. Larry did a better job as a radio host than he did as a candidate for office. When I introduced Larry, not Larry Powell, Larry Elder. Larry Elder when he was running in the recall
Fabio.
at Clovis.
Fabio.
That's who it is. Yeah.
Fabio.
He's not American.
Is that show I was really listening to you? I'm still trying. You're talking about Larry Elder, and I'm trying to think of who the guy with the flowing hair is. I'm sorry.
That's how unimportant. That is how unimportant
word. I'm so
Larry
sorry.
Elder is.
Yeah.
He can't even make it into your thoughts when we're talking about him. There's no way the man's going to make it on the debate.
Larry Elder with flowing blonde hair. He would be
that
elected.
probably would get him on the stage.
But he could no longer be the black face of white supremacy.
Larry Elder. Let me be clear on Larry Elder here. When I met him when he was running for office, the initial impression that I got was he doesn't want to win this. His heart wasn't in it, and you can tell. He just wasn't in it, and I have no idea if he just wanted to get out of radio, if he just wanted to fund a PAC that would fund his lifestyle forever. But I knew at that point in time he didn't want to put in the work, and he didn't want it. And I was able to just one-on-one, just chatting with him. And I knew that he was going to run for president if he lost. And I had some kind of back channels with SRN, the syndication house that housed him. And I talked to them about it. And they agreed with me that
housed him. You talked to him like he's a homeless person.
Well, no, I housed him as his show. They housed his show. They housed his show.
They housed Larry. I mean, I'm going to put up with it for only so far. Because you're talking about my Larry. I got 2 Larrys, Larry Powell and Larry Elder. I'm very fond of. Go ahead.
He doesn't, Larry Elder was uniquely positioned in that he had high name ID. Probably higher name ID than Vivek Ramaswamy. Vivek Ramaswamy came out so hard. He did CNN. He was everywhere. He did not turn down an interview. Larry Elder being in media and in conservative media, he had the platform, he had the name ID. He knows how to get attention, and he's refused to do it.
I like what he had to say, but he was too canned for me.
Same things over and over again.
He doesn't want to debate.
Yeah. See, well, in his defense, let me tell you, is doing a lot of events. First of all, Vivek is 37. Larry Elder
difference
is 70.
Larry Elder Larry Elder
let me
can
tell
talk.
You know what I think
Now
Larry
you're
did?
blasting us old guys again.
Well, Larry, I mean, say that you can keep up with like a 37-year-old 5'8". Did you see him playing tennis? It's awesome, but all he has is a forehand.
Yeah, it's getting the ball fed to him.
Man, wait till those Democrats hit to his backhand.
He's done.
Yeah.
He is done.
That was
man.
a gun shooting
It's
those
a
balls.
limited game.
Right to a certain spot all
But you
the
know
time.
what? I think Larry's position was. I think it was pure. And I think in fact, he said it at one time. And I'm going, man, Larry, thank you for being honest. He said, I don't believe I can win. He actually said that. But he said, I want people need to hear what I'm going to say. And maybe his mission was to wake people up, especially the black community. If just to hear him, a black conservative, talking about the American dream and revealing how the Democratic policies have held black people back for decades and decades, how you've been trapped into failing schools if you're in a certain zip code, and your only chance for a better life for your child and even you to be taken care of later in life.
Charles Barkley said the same
to get
thing.
your kid educated.
Yeah, Charles Barkley said 50 years hasn't worked for the black community.
Right. And we, with white
You're
skin,
right.
could say it, but it's very powerful for somebody like Larry. So I take him as
I no longer take him seriously.
Okay, what did Larry really do to you? Larry did something to you. What did he do?
Larry
Did
Elder,
he insult
folks,
the Spartans?
keep
Did he
in
insult
mind.
Michigan State?
He doesn't want to do the work, and
He-
he's complaining about not being on the debate stage.
What, you ask him to do an interview one time? He said no.
Oh no, he always did the interviews that I requested.
He did them, and now you're throwing him under the
Well,
bus.
but I'm not gonna hitch my wagon to the people. No, I'm there for the people. You know what I mean? I'm there for the people and to give them.
I love you because you know what? He did do the interview. This is how you truly feel.
It is,
and that is what I love about you. You're not being mean spirited.
No,
sometimes the truth hurts, and your truth, and that's why I love you. We just agree to disagree, but I am
Did
very,
you see
very.
Christie?
It makes me feel good when I hear you, regardless. Because I've heard you take positions that.
pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm wondering if you if you're invited to any party ever, anywhere,
You're going to get the
like
leftovers.
in the city of Fresno and beyond, because you're just an honest person, and people that are really honest and tell it like it is.
Christie with the Cowboys, Jerry Jones the other day sitting in the booth with him.
No,
Yeah, wow.
What was
It was Jerry
Well,
Jones.
did you
and
see him? I
4
thought he'd be
seats.
so far up Jerry Jones's rear end that you might lose him.
Oh man,
What? He was what now?
It was Jerry Jones and 4 seats.
Oh my gosh. Well, you know what? We've talked about
in
it.
between, or he was taking up 4 seats.
Well,
no way. No way.
Well, we've talked
He
about
was
this
pretty
show.
big.
We've talked about it on this show seriously, without I don't weight shame anybody or body shame anybody, but with Christie, I think that's a very legitimate issue. When you're that big and you're in your mid 50s, that's when those heart attacks
It's a health
hit
issue.
a lot of. Absolutely, you're talking about Biden. He wants to throw this health issues around this and that and all of that. I mean, it's fair play, man. I said, why do we want to elect you if you're one Krispy Kreme away from being, laying on a stretcher in ICU in,
Right next to McConnell.
right next. All right, listen. The judge ruled. We got. What did you want to say? Is
Are we going to talk about the debate?
Folks on the radio? Guillermo, I cut him off. He was wanting to say something, so I'm going to stop here. Is it good what you were going to say? You want me to defer to you? Go ahead.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Larry Elder.
Oh, Larry.
If he ever gets on the debate stage, he will shut it down and win. So I want to be very complimentary.
Oh, okay.
He
I
would
hear
win.
you. I
He
hear
is
you.
good.
He
He's
would
smart.
win. Yeah, he would win.
I
Hands
hear you.
down.
Yeah.
And your canned critique, I get it.
Yeah.
I think he should, broaden his ability to, because he's got some great one-liners, great snippets. I mean, they're just really good, inspiring. But there is a thing called overuse. People have heard it before, and you've got to change that up. But I just respect him so much because he's not one of these Johnny-come-latelys as a black conservative. He was out there espousing the conservative cause and getting called every name in the book for decades.
Oh, yeah,
Back,
really.
when
I never
was
doubted
really
his
rough.
sincerity at
Yes.
all.
There was no Tim Scott around. There was
Yeah.
no Ben Carson around. There was no Deion Sanders around.
I just had a hard time connecting with him.
Yeah.
Because it
No, I
felt
get-
canned.
Yeah,
you know.
I get you 100%. Okay, this judge in New York that ruled yesterday that Trump is guilty of fraud. My gosh, I'm surprised. Well, for one, when he's reading these charges out, I hope he supplied towels to people in the front row because you read and what he said, he's obviously just spitting out the hate. I'm going to take his business certificates. The vitriol. And even people on the left, I was watching CNN last night, said this judgment by this judge was brutal. I mean, in its animosity personally with the comments towards.
It was not judicial.
It was not judicial
and
at all.
You're to have a certain demeanor as a judge.
Right.
You know, and that is that you are not for or against anything. You simply proclaim.
You're supposed to have that blindfold on you and read it as it comes.
Yeah.
And so it's so obvious that this judge was out to get it. You pull your certificates, and here's the foundation of, and you look at the foundation, how bogus these charges are, and yet they look in wonderment. They, meaning the Democratic side, if you want to call it, the DNC, all those on the left, that just in wonderment wonder how somebody who's been indicted 19 charges in Georgia, you got the 4 charges in Washington, D.C., you got the charges in New York, and you wonder why Trump's poll numbers continue to rise. Well, because the charges are bogus. If it takes an hour and a half to describe what you're charging somebody with, and then 90% of the people still don't get it, they're probably bogus charges.
Or believe it. Yeah, they don't get it or believe it.
Well, the foundation for Jack Smith, and I want you guys' opinion, the foundation of Jack Smith is he's going to prove in court what Trump was thinking on January 6th. You're getting into, Naziville. You're getting into fascism world.
That's a matrix.
Exactly. And that's the foundation. Now, this guy is going to, the judge said that you inflated the values of your property. When in the report, you have, I guess, by $100 million, and in the proposal to the bank, of which nobody in the bank had any problem with it.
Right.
In it said
it's almost as if this was customary practice.
Oh my gosh! But Guillermo, they say in the proposal, if you have any questions about the valuation, please have your experts go check it out.
CYA.
And they told the bank, go do your own. This is what I'm taking into effect, and I think very properly, the Trump brand. So if this just setting alone, this property's $20 million, but I owned it, I'm going to add another $10 million to this property because of my brand. Now, you can buy that or not buy that, but it's certainly feasible.
Oh, absolutely.
So the fraud, folks, is that he valued his property more than the judge thought he should. Nobody else had a problem with that deal. The bank made money. The investors made money. Trump's corporation made money. And that's not just like a side part of and they're going to pull his business certificate. You know what that means? You can't do business anymore. And you talk about, okay, you guys go with this because truly, if they can do this to Donald Trump, billionaire, these judges, these rogue, crazy judges that personalize everything and bring politics into it, they'll come after you. If that becomes the standard, we're all in trouble. What do y'all think? Am I overreacting?
I think they'll lose the case, win the case at appeal. You know, it's so far out there.
Look, isn't it astonishing that one after another?
It doesn't make any sense at all.
You have the Georgia case saying, I need to find 11,500 votes, as if they're translating that into you're threatening the Secretary of State of Georgia. If you don't go out and fill out some fake ballots for me, then I'm going to do what to you?
Yeah. I mean, that statement wasn't perfectly worded on Trump's behalf, but I don't have a problem with it. But go back to the judge. The judge obviously never bought anything like haggling or bought anything on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist because people always overvalue it. Like, you want $500 for an old dining set?
Hey, an Alan Autry signed picture. It's just a piece of paper with a signature.
But to
worth
you,
about 10 cents, but people are paying thousands for it.
See?
Listen, I was thinking about
They're paying thousands for it.
I was thinking about turning in my car, trading it in for a new car. And the dealer said, don't do that. Don't you realize this is a Larry Powell car and it has worth? And I'm going, you got to be kidding me. But he was sincere.
Yeah.
He said, when people
You know
find
what?
out you owned it.
You know what? No, I'm so sincere. Not just because you're my friend.
Yeah.
That would mean something to me if I was buying that car. Because you know what? I know Larry Powell took care of that car.
That car was
that car
absolutely
got its
taken
oil
care of.
changed
Yeah.
every 25.
Washed
And
3
Trump-
times a week.
And let me tell you one thing about
Never
Trump.
out of the garage.
Yes. And let me tell you
I
something
love
about
that.
Trump. Because I dealt with Trump for 9 months. And again, I keep teasing the audience. We're going to talk about that whole 9 months because I think you'd find it very interesting. Because I'm not in love with Trump as a person, but I'm just going to be truthful, as Guillermo said. But he does take care of his properties. He takes care. So
Maintenance and everything.
yeah. If you're not dealing with a slumlord. It's high class, high end, everything he touches, that means something to him. He's not going to go into any Trump property, small or large, unless it's well kept. That's got to be figured into the price.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Go ahead, Guillermo.
So I think we're missing the forest for the trees here. If you look at what they've done to Donald Trump, and by they I mean the people that dislike him, may that be on the right, on the left, because I mean there's on every political spectrum, people hate Donald Trump. What I've said is many times, they keep trying to get him down, and they can't. Now they're trying to go after his well-being and the well-being of his family.
Yeah.
At some point, folks, and Tucker asked him this, like, are you afraid that they might kill you? Like, let's be real here.
Yeah.
They keep going, and he's not falling down. His poll numbers keep going up. He's not going anywhere. You could throw the man in jail today, and his poll numbers probably, they might take a dip of like 2 points, but the man's not going anywhere. I think we seriously, and I hope this audio bit never has to be replayed in retrospect, but they better make sure they have that man extremely well protected, because at some point in time, there's one way to get rid of the guy.
Guillermo, I tip my hat to you, because that is a horrific thing to consider, but it is on almost everybody's mind. It really is. Because,
what happens at that point?
Well, here's what's really troubling and why you have to really consider, at least in my opinion, a possibility. Not necessarily it'll be something that, Adam Schiff, initiates like a mafia boss hiring a hitman. But those people that are constantly painting him as the worst racist Nazi to ever hit the scene. I mean, this guy that went out and shot up all the congressmen, put Steve Scalise on a ventilator, almost killed him, was out for the list looking for Republicans because he hated them. And when you see the progression of what they've done to this man, which is really banana republic-ish,
for sure,
in how they do things. You weaponize the people in government against you when you do this coup, and you do everything to turn the people against them. That's what they do, turn it, and it doesn't work.
Yeah, Bobby Kennedy was killed in a kitchen hallway, and he was killed because he supported Israel.
Mm-hmm.
So and as a result, Jackie got basically, I think, married Onassis in order to get away from the publicity of being a Kennedy. Because she thought her kids were in danger.
Yeah,
I think that is really, it's a horrific thought. But Guillermo, I tip my hat to you, because they had better double up security, because this man, whatever drum he marches to a different drummer. No, Trump marches to a whole different band playing in there. He's not going to stop going to these rallies. You just got this drone stuff that they could fly something in there anytime at one of these rallies. And again, that is something that you have to look at and take appropriate action. Biden doesn't take that much to lock down. He doesn't go very many places. So you got that taken care of, because I want all the candidates to be covered, but especially Biden, who has some people out there, crazies, that would like to do him harm. Well, and he needs to be protected.
Alan,
but
he's
Trump
the president
is
whether I don't like him or not. I mean, he's the president of the United States. I want him to have the utmost protection. I want him to be more protected than Donald Trump. I mean, he represents.
But Trump, wouldn't you agree? I get him security.
He's got Secret Service.
But the man Trump is a wild card. He'll walk into a restaurant.
Yeah, exactly. And
Unvetted.
I think
Yeah,
that's
unvetted.
and you think it's hot now. Wait till it gets closer to election time. This is going to be crazy. The whole world on this election, 2024. I mean, it's going to be picking up crazy steam. I mean, it's going to be insane. And I don't know if this country, hopefully, the more unstable minds that are out there being triggered by all of this, don't act. But you darn sure better be prepared as if they are going to act.
In the days before assessors had certain rules that were applied after the crash in 2008 to 10 through all of that, assessors could come in on a home and you could tell them in advance what you were wanting it to be worth so you could get the loan you needed for the house you were buying. And so they may have said the house was worth $800,000, but they might put 1 plus 0, for $1 million. And say it actually can be worth $1 million because can you afford to buy it? Yeah, I can afford to make the payments. Okay, I'll make it $1 million for you. So that was standard.
So what you're saying is we need Paul Dictos in our next supervisor.
Paul straighten it out. Well, listen, we're going to get Paul on the line.
I love Paul.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we want to touch on this looming shutdown of the government, and the debate. Just a couple of minutes on that. All right, we'll be right back.
The big stuff. Who do you think you are?
You know where I think that if he's a nominee, you got to start worrying about other countries coming for Trump's head. China in particular. I mean, the secrets.
He won't back down.
Do you understand like the amount of protection that man's going to need?
Well, and you know how much money the more nefarious countries in this world have made off of Biden?
Yeah.
That's their cash cow.
No doubt.
And so they want to keep him in there. I mean, they can do anything they want, and America will not only not do anything, they will aid in that effort.
Yeah. You're going to have to.
But no matter how anti-American it is. Yeah. I mean, folks, look, that is not a partisan analysis. I'm an independent. I say that often because truly, you bring forth a Democrat that's common sense. You bring a John Kennedy Democrat up, I'd listen to him in a heartbeat. A pro-life Democrat, well, that's a vanishing species. But I mean, I would absolutely consider them. I mean, there's some.
Well, back on the local election, Paul Dictos is a wild card in this election because have you seen all these signs out already?
Yeah.
I mean, they
is
said
that even legal? I think you can't even put them up right now.
Well, you can put them in the county.
Never let the law
You
get
can
in
put
the way
them
of
in
a
the
good
county.
campaign.
It's the city that has the rule you can't.
Paul does it again.
Yeah, so I'm telling you, hey, a lot of things that people don't realize.
And you got to say it with the right accent.
Dictos.
You
Gary's going to call us. He's going to be
You got to remember something.
Bulldog.
He had the support of 14 of 15 mayors in Fresno County when he ran.
Oh, hey.
They don't know how well liked he is out in the
Paul
community.
is a fighter.
He's a fighter.
He's
he's 80 years old. He says, what can you do to hurt an 80-year-old?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's a dangerous person, man. You go, why? Because he'll do the right thing.
And he's doing his own money, not taking a dime from anybody else.
Never trust anybody that's too old not to do the right thing. They're too close to meeting their maker.
Yeah.
Listen, lie or St. Peter's wrath? Do I get into heaven or do I lie to heaven?
Yeah.
All right, we're ready to come back.
All right, here we go.
This hour of the Alan Autry Show is sponsored by Simlaw, the most realistic artificial grass in the Central Valley.
And welcome back to Alan Autry No Retreat. Remember that artificial grass. Put it on your lawn. Don't smoke it. Artificial grass is not good. It will hurt. It will hurt your brain.
It's good for the environment and good for you.
Hey, I have artificial turf and I love it.
It's
absolutely love it.
It's like carpet.
Remember that anti-drug? You ever see anti-drug commercials anymore? We're so drug saturated in this country from top to bottom. You never see any anti-alcohol commercials. I remember the one with the frying pan. He goes,
"Yes,
this is your
brain on drugs.
On drain, have fry an egg on there. That's pretty effective." All right, here we go.
Made me want to eat
Why?
an egg.
I asked you this. We'll get to the debate. Yeah, probably too many eggs in my day. I think back in my college days. The looming shutdown. Just a couple of minutes on this. I just have a question. Everybody's scared. Everybody's afraid. They don't get it done by Friday. The government's going to shut down. Why is the government and the media, led by CNN, so scared to death about shutting down the government? Were they that scared when they shut down businesses in the country for COVID? Or they shut down schools? They had no problem with shutting down all the schools.
That's such a good point.
You got no
Really
problem.
Very good.
You got no problem with that. Let's just shut it down. No problem. You don't get paid? No problem.
How about the same amount of
time?
time as COVID? 2 years.
Well, yeah.
I'm all right with that.
No, but they
I'm
are
good.
scared to death. And I'm thinking, well, maybe because, you were considered essential workers, congressmen, presidents, all the deep state, you were essential workers. That 10th banana in the Department of the Interior, who's never been to a park in their life, still got their paycheck during COVID.
Yeah.
They were what? Essential workers. So, of course, what are you all worried about? It's for the greater good. We don't want to pass that virus around. We're going to shut everything down. But you even talk about shutting down the government for a week, 2 weeks. They have a conniption fit. I mean, to me, it's very telling. If it's at our doorstep, what's good for you. He's not good. What do you think about that?
No, I think it's a great point. I would like to see what happens because you hear all of the fear mongering about what will happen. What do we actually know does happen?
Yeah.
And how much damage can you do? Because while they're in office, there's a lot of damage.
That's right. And this is why Matt Gaetz frustrates me so much. He's got a great point. He says, we need to take this item by item. Don't just pass the whole bill. Just increase the spending and do this, what they call continuing resolution. Which means you just kick it down
Or
the
the
road
Pelosiism,
for a few
find
months.
out what's in it.
Break it out and examine
After
it
vote.
and say, does this department need more money, or can you use less money in this department? Start with the military and all that. Great. But Matt Gaetz has been so freaking weird in his behavior that he has a great point, yet he's such a lightning rod, you don't listen to him. And he's sitting there going, that guy's making the most sense of anybody, but he's so messed up his reputation that the guy who's really telling us what we should do, nobody's really listening to. And that's what's frustrating to me with Matt Gaetz. Very articulate, very passionate, and in this case, spot on what we should do rather than passing these omnibus huge bills where you just pass it, lump it on forward to the next thing. Okay, let's get to the debate tonight. Okay, let's handicap it, starting with you, Sorrento Guillermo. What do you think is going to happen? What does your crystal ball tell you?
Well, there's a Moreno on their way to the debate. My mom.
I love it.
That you do.
My mom got.
She went on the Reagan Library.
She got a seat. We can't disclose how she got it. But she got a seat, so she'll be there in vivo, in person at the Reagan Library watching. Yeah, that's fantastic. The Reagan Library is so beautiful. Such a great.
It is gorgeous.
Oh man,
that plane looking out of the.
I think one of the most patriotic moments for me in my lifetime, brought a little tear to my eye. Happened to be at a Trump rally, but that's not what brought me to tears. It was in Bullhead, Arizona, and I was on the platform where the media sits.
I've been there.
And as Air Force One is flying in, Trump does it big. Air Force One literally flew within like 100 yards from the audience, and just watching that massive plane come down with the United States of America written on it and the flag.
It's amazing.
The American flag pulling in, doing, who knows, probably about 150, 175 miles an hour, 100 yards away from the audience, and just so perfectly landing and just stopping, and then having the president of the United States walk. I mean, I'll never forget it.
I got the same feeling when it came into Fresno, when the plane came into Fresno.
With George Bush?
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, I got to spend 40 minutes
Clinton
alone
before
with
that.
him. You
Yeah. It is an amazing
It's
thing.
awesome.
It is. So anyhow, so we're saying that because we're assuming it's going to be set up right in front of Air Force One that
Oh,
Reagan,
beautiful.
Yeah, the setting is
the setting
fantastic.
is
And
great.
Mama gets to be there.
Yeah,
Oh, we
yeah.
got to pick her brain.
Let me give you a little insight that I think I have.
Trump wins. I know.
I don't think any of them have the ability to have the moment. That is that time that everybody talks about. That, wow, they got me, and I think everybody's, you remember when, and Kennedy, I knew Kennedy, and Lloyd Benson said that there are moments in debates that lock in, and it's hard to, and it's the setting of the debate that does it,
Yeah.
There's no free flowing, there's no, true, honest debate going on. There's simply, you could use pre-recorded stuff for half of it. But where's the moment that they connect with the American voting public and you go, I get it. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
I can't remember a moment in the last 10 years.
There's not going to. And it's going to be really tough at the Reagan Library. It's a great setting, but it's a horrible place if you're a debater for the Republican Party. Because there you're sitting in the shadows of one of the greatest, if not greatest, Republican president of all time. And they're all going to have the canned, we need to be back, we need to get to the Reagan. I'm the next Reagan.
Yeah.
And they're all going to have that pre-canned thing. So it's really not
You're not going to have those moments that Reagan had with those comments that he came up with.
You're not.
Yeah, I go ahead.
However, the one that can have that moment is going to be either Nikki Haley or Ron DeSantis. Because now that they've been through one, when you look at the establishment type candidates, and I'm calling them the establishment type candidates.
Sure.
They get better over time, and they get more comfortable in their setting.
The writers get better.
And the writers get better, and they're able to pack a punch. I think Nikki Haley is extremely dangerous in this debate because I've only seen her improving. I am not a big Nikki Haley fan at all, but I've seen her improving. Vivek is going to totally have to change his entire strategy because he came out as a young gun. It's pretty hard to come out of as a young gun at the Reagan Library with one of the oldest presidents we ever had. That's what we liked about Reagan, right? Was his life experience, and Vivek can come out swinging again for the fences. Where Ronald Reagan, if he were on stage,
it doesn't work when you say, "Give me the chance to get the experience."
Yeah,
and Reagan, you bring up an interesting point. Reagan essentially gave the same speech for like 4 decades, but he was able to make it seem fresh each time. Small government, strong national defense, peace through strength. Rugged individualism.
Alan, you did the same thing as mayor. You had the same theme, and you had that ability for this homespun feel. I love to hear what you have to say. And it was essentially the same message every time, but it was the message people wanted to hear.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, Larry. Even as you said in the same breath with Reagan. That's very humbling.
That was true.
But
that's why you didn't raise any money for the second run for office. He said, I'm not going to raise it. They want me in, I'm in. You
got a record. You got a record, and I'm ready to go. If you want to kick me out. Well, you knew me during that. You knew I was serious about that.
Oh, absolutely.
I wouldn't go around spending money asking people for money when we're in the middle of a water crisis.
That was fantastic.
We had so much. I'm not a good I had 3 or 4 issues on my plate there that were huge for the city of Fresno. And I can't imagine go meet with some donor to try to raise some money on a campaign. I said, these people know whether they want to keep me on the job or not.
Yeah, you also added water, which was a community-wide and beyond issue, and did a lot of things there, getting the other mayors of the Fresno County.
In all truth, full disclosure, this man to my right that just said those nice things about me was a very source of wisdom and advice a lot. And I had some great people that I had privy to have counsel to. But, when you talk about Vivek, I think you bring up a good point. And Larry, I think he is running into a little bit of the Larry Elder canned stuff.
Yep.
It's good, but we're here. He's been on YouTube. The good news is he's been on YouTube. He's got a big following. But he's been saying the same thing the same way.
Yeah.
And this whole notion that you're going to extract Russia from China, that partnership, is really a naive thing that I think people go, oh, gosh, I like you on that. But if you even think that's possible,
don't you have to
you're
be
living in a
really
fantasy world.
Good comedian to use the same joke over and over again?
Yeah, you've got to
be really good.
And comedians have that ability, but they've exercised it, they've worked it. Politicians tend to be labeled canned. I've heard this. I don't want to hear it again. It's hard.
The best
really
thing
hard.
Vivek could do is just get really stone cold serious about
Yes.
some things.
Yes.
And really back up and say, you know what, and right some of these wrongs that he's about the China, Russia. You're gonna have to coexist.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're not going to extract, Laurel from Hardy. It's just not going to happen. And there's a couple of other things that I think people think he's in fantasy land that kind of give an impression that, again, as I said, the naivete of him is too much. He's not quite ready. But to your point, though, I think one of the things that's going to be interesting tonight is you don't really have or you actually do. You have multiple people now on that stage to go after the first one. You can go after Trump if you want to. I mean, that's a waste of time.
It is.
Christie, you're going to do that. But
that's Christie's big thing.
But they were loaded and locked down for DeSantis last time. Well, DeSantis' numbers are down. Vivek came up. Now, DeSantis in the latest poll, big poll, reclaimed second position, but with only 14%. Then you have Nikki Haley at 13%. You got Vivek at 10%. Then you have breathing down their necks, Chris Christie at 8-9%. So who do you go after? Because let's face it, you are running for second place.
Yeah.
And you're also running for the fact that, hey, if Biden wins, say Trump wins, they've all said, kiss of death, Biden's going to beat Trump. The public's not going to put Trump back in office. And say that scenario comes true. Say that you really believe that and that does happen. You're in 2028, I think it'd be the next election. I think a lot of these candidates are setting themselves up for that run because one of two things will happen in the 4 years if Biden gets reelected. We'll either have a miraculous economic recovery. Ukraine will win the war over there. They'll beat Russia to a pulp. Inflation is going to just drop right down. Suddenly, you're not going to have $33 trillion in deficit. You're going to have deficit reduction in half. Violence is going to disappear from the streets of America. All those things have to happen for Biden or any Democrat who takes over to be reelected. So the Republicans may, in fact, sadly, the opposite probably too. Things are going to get worse. So you're setting yourself up for 24. So I think that for 28. So I think that strategy's at place. And then some of them in there, I don't think DeSantis would take the number 2 spot. I think Tim Scott would.
I think they all. If it's offered, you take it.
I do think, again, I'm not a Nikki Haley fan, but I do think a Trump-Haley ticket is formidable. What do you all think?
When I first heard Nikki, when she was still in South Carolina, actually, at New York, for the League of Nations, United Nations, I actually liked a lot of what she had to say. And I thought it was a fresh feel, a fresh voice. Once again, it's hard not to get stale. It is so hard not to get stale. And I think that's what's going to be interesting about all of this.
Let me. I don't believe this. I was raised by women, all women. I was a single mom. I have 2 sisters. America's not ready for a female president. Say it. Let me be very clear. America's not ready. Whether you look at Kamala or you look at Nikki. Yeah, so okay. I'm right in the middle.
It's a hard sell.
All right, it's a hard. Now I don't think that. I want to preface it. So it's a formidable ticket, but a Trump Haley. When Trump's done, they're not going to look at Haley for number 1. The movement's going to, unless she really does a MAGA switch, which she has not. She's refused to do it. I just don't see that as a formidable ticket.
All is better than Kamala.
How about a Trump Condoleezza Rice ticket?
I can get behind that. I love Condi.
Condi is phenomenal.
Yes, she's presidential.
She's smart, and that's why she's not running.
How about a Trump Rosie O'Donnell ticket?
I'd see that. I'd vote for that. You get the mismatch. But here's now let me.
We'd all be schizophrenic by the end of that.
How about a Trump Russell Brand ticket? I'm just saying. I'm just laying it out there for discussion.
Yeah. We got Biden and Hunter. There you'd have Trump and Russell Brand. I mean, it's the same. It's the same. Here, so let me tell you one guy that has to have a moment tonight. So here's my predictions. I was right the first time.
Mike Pence. Don't say Mike Pence.
And
Pence is done. Stick a fork in him. He's done, man.
Mike needs to. I mean, he needs to come out of his shell. He needs to do
Needs to
something.
talk to the
Oh, it's too late.
Energizer.
He needs.
You know,
If I were
There's
on
no
his,
home for him in the park. I mean, he has no rabid, strong, secure base. So he's done. Go ahead.
if there's anybody that's the most like Reagan, it'd be Mike Pence. Just to be honest with you.
I think the most like Reagan, sincerely, is Tim Scott.
Tim Scott. That's where I'd go. But
Okay,
I
I
get
can
it
see
with
that.
Pence.
I could see
I
that.
get it with Pence.
So I was right the first debate. I said Vivek was going to come out and win, and he did.
Yeah.
You predicted it.
This debate, I'm predicting Nikki Haley to come out and win because Vivek is not going to be able. I think it's too much too fast for him, and he's the exact same age as I am. You know, we're that same generation. I'm not sure he's able to take a step back, and like you said, he needs to show that he's not a millennial, and he needs to outwit the people that have been in this game for a long time. You don't get thrown out in the field, your second game, and you're able to take down the same team. That same team knows your playbook. They're going to be able to adapt to it. So I think he loses tonight. Ron DeSantis, as I've said from the get-go, is not ready for prime time. There is nothing that can get that man ready for prime time. He is going to flub big time, and hopefully after this, he goes away. He's not not capable of having a big night.
I'll tell you one thing that I think is right about that. Ron DeSantis is very good by himself. It's harder when there's somebody else there.
Yeah.
I like him, but it's so much harder when you have to play off of other people.
That's so true.
I'm going to go counter to you guys. I think DeSantis is going to have a good night. Let me tell you why. I saw him last night on Hannity. And there's something about, he came out, he was the heir apparent. He was going to beat Trump. He had all this buzz behind him. And it's too late getting in, missteps in his campaign. And he was feeling the pressure. I mean, none of those Republicans on the last debate were ready for the moment. The moment was too big for them.
Yep.
Every single one of them. They were so eager to get the stuff out. I mean, I've been there. I've been in a moment too big with me in the National Football League. And they just were trying, they got a minute and a half, and they were just, nobody poised. They'd been better off just to say nothing or say half of what they wanted to say and come across as poised, strong, unflappable. That's what people want to see. What they thought they were getting in Joe Biden. But they haven't. Okay? I think DeSantis, the fact that he has plummeted now, the pressure's off. And I saw him last night do a great interview, and he more relaxed, to me, very poised, very articulate, very presidential. If he can carry that to the stage, and if I was advising him, I would say, Governor, talk about 75% less about what you did in Florida. People know it. You were. A lot of people don't know
about America now.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know you were a U.S. congressman.
Yeah,
you know the business. You're not just coming in cold. You are the best equipped politically because you know how the sausage is made at the federal level by being a congressman. You know how it's made as a state. Combine those, you have an experience that's unmatched. And if you can keep
Pence
your
would
cool,
probably be up there with him,
right? But
But we like governors. We like governors running for office.
And let's face it, every one of those candidates are charisma challenged.
Yeah.
They don't have a lot of charisma.
It's so true.
But Pence has less than DeSantis. And I'm waiting for
Pence has less than Burgum.
My goodness, I would say, Burgum. I misjudged that, man. The eyebrows. I thought he could be a player. Here's what I would tell him. Look for the moment to bring some levity.
Yes, absolutely.
You were at the Reagan Library studying. He was a master at because nobody had the confidence. They were frozen. They were tight. And Reagan knew the best way to loosen people up and get them on the side is make them laugh. And he did that over. Folks, Google Reagan's comic moments. It wasn't just with, I won't use my opponent's youth and inexperience against him, which was a great line that he used on Mondale. Debate over after he used that line.
Yeah.
It's done.
Remember when he said, we can't make them see, if we can't make them see the light, make them feel the heat.
Yes.
And
then he said
those are great lines.
It's something like, if they're pounding Biden, DeSantis would say something like Reagan would say, well, hold them on. It's not that the Democrats are dumb. It's that they know so much about what isn't so. I mean, look for
No, you're right.
They're going to give you so many
Those
opportunities.
moments.
Have them written down, practice them. Reagan didn't come up with those on the spot. He was an actor. He had a whole Rolodex, and then he waited for the
Which
moment.
one works?
And he could retrieve them at the moment and make it sound like he made it up on the moment.
Yep.
That's what actors do. And by the way, those who think Reagan was a puppet, he wrote all of his speeches. Peggy Noonan helped write some, and there was there. But most of those speeches he took home. He wrote them. He was a smart guy. Very eloquent.
Hey, don't forget, Univision is one of the sponsors.
Okay.
And it's in California. They better be up on their immigration, and
boy.
they better not come off
Big time.
as they got to really word it in a way that is.
So who wins it tonight? Who do you think?
Nikki,
Larry?
I'm going to go with Nikki.
I'm going to go with DeSantis.
All right.
Sounds good.
All right.
One last thing from Reagan. Before I refuse to take your questions, I have an opening statement.
Oh, folks, thanks for tuning in. We love you so much for this hour, 12 to 1 p.m. I tell you, it's the most fun I've ever had in my life being with you. So God bless you. God bless America. Just do your best. Let God do the rest. And I promise it's going to turn out the way it's supposed to. Bye-bye now, and God willing, we'll see you tomorrow on Thursday.